All right, Mac Jones against the Rams in just a few hours. The Rams have ballooned to 8.5 point favorites. And, the last time that the Rams were 8.5 point favorites against the 49ers was in 2020, empty stadium at SoFi. And the 49ers with Nick Mullins, thanks to 4 Rams giveaways, won on a last second Robbie Gould field goal. Javon Kinlaw had a pick six in that game. I was watching the highlights of that game last night. I was like, oh man, what was the spread of that game in 2020 that the 49ers somehow won against the Rams, who were leading in the division and surging at the time, and the 49ers were just completely decimated by injury. How did they do it? And I watched and I saw the Kinlaw pick six, and then I saw the 49ers give the ball away themselves, and I saw a fumble. I think it was Jeff Wilson Jr. forced by Aaron Donald. Fumble 6 for the Rams. The 49ers didn't even rush for more than 3.4 yards per carry in that game, but they still won. And to me, it just underscored the real power of the turnover differential. If you could win the turnover differential, even +2, even if your roster is overmatched, then you can go out there and have a chance to win the game. So my prediction for today has the Rams winning, but if there is a path to victory for the 49ers, a greasy path to victory, they're going to have to win in that turnover battle. I think they're going to have to hog the football, and I think that maybe some of the roster moves that they make today will be key to the margins of this game. So one thing that the 49ers will almost certainly do is elevate Adrian Martinez from the practice squad. So here you have the look at the 53-man roster. Martinez is over here. Brock Purdy obviously out of this game. So Mac Jones is going to start. You have to have a backup quarterback. Adrian has been elevated twice. This would be the third elevation, the final elevation that you can give someone temporarily from the practice squad. We expect the 49ers to use it. So Martinez up from the squad to the 49ers 48-man roster for this game. The other move can either be at receiver if they feel that they're severely down with Ricky Pearsall and Jawan Jennings, and they want another veteran body to complement DeMarcus Robinson, Kendrick Bourne, Marquez Valdez-Scantling. You could bump Russell Gage up, or you can go to the edge rusher position and you can give Trevis Gibson the nod. Gibson it got about 10 career sacks. He had a sack and 8 pressures in the preseason, played well for the 49ers in the preseason. So they signed him to the practice squad after they cut him from the roster at the 53-man trim down. Robert Beal Jr. is out of this game. So theoretically, you could use another edge. Now, you've already got 4 available guys between Bryce Huff, Michael Williams, Sam Okawanu, and Yetur Gross-Matos. But it really seems that Yetur has been on a snap count, dealing with the knee. He's maintaining the knee week in and week out. And Yetur was only at about 20 snaps the other day. So I think it does make sense for the 49ers without Robert Beal Jr. to call up an edge in somebody like Trevis Gibson. And what that could do is it could give you somebody who's been productive in this league. I was watching that 2020 49ers Rams tape, and who was popping off the film on like a down in, down out basis was Kerry Hyder Jr. That was the 8.5 sack year for Kerry Hyder. And that was after Nick Bosa went down with the torn ACL in week 2 against the Jets at MetLife Stadium. 49ers are going to return there in a month, but Kerry Hyder had himself a season. He got paid by the Seattle Seahawks the year after that. And I look at somebody like Trevis Gibson, and I see a veteran who has shown some juice at the NFL level, who has some veteran guile. Remember his first practice during training camp where he tipped the ball up into the air and Nick Bosa intercepted it, but that was Trevis Gibson on the pressure from the other side. Why not for the 49ers? Why not insert a veteran who's been there, done that before, and see if he could help this pass rush, which only had 5 pressures against Jacksonville, even though Trevor Lawrence was getting the ball out really, really quick. So, I mean, if you're just going 2 standard elevations for the 49ers, I think Gibson and Adrian Martinez make a lot of sense. If you wanted another receiver, it could be Russell Gage. I mentioned that yesterday, but they may be, especially if they're going to go pared down offensive game plan, if they're just going to go short pass, ball control, 3 yards in a cloud of dust kind of game plan to try to hog the football. maybe you don't go heavy on the receivers. Well, we'll see what the 49ers do here probably within the course of the next couple of hours. But those are two options. You only get two of these practice squad elevations. Now, if they want to do both of those things, if they want Russell Gage to play and they want Travis Gibson up and they need Adrian Martinez elevated as the QB2, the way to make three moves is by actually promoting somebody to the 53-man roster. So you could theoretically move somebody to injured reserve. You look at Jordan Watkins, he could theoretically go to IR. You'd have to be out for at least 4 games beyond now. But that would open up a spot for a permanent promotion, and then you could use your 2 practice squad elevations elsewhere. Like say that Connor Colby hurt his groin before his first start. Say that they don't think he's healthy enough to go. I'm just spitballing here, and they think they need Nick Zakelj to come up, and they want to elevate him, but they don't want to promote him to the 53-man roster. Well, the way that you would be able to get around that is by actually promoting one of the other guys to the 53 and then saving the elevation for somebody like Zakelj. So you could actually execute more moves if you're the 49ers through IR placements and then actual 53-man promotions from the practice squad. I'm not saying they're going to do that, but sometimes when they've had to be creative in the past, that is what San Francisco has done. Speaking of that 2020 game, the 49ers beat the Rams twice in 2020. I'm going to my Instagram because this is where I posted. I'm going to scroll all the way back to 2020. I never want to relive that. I don't think anybody ever wants to relive that. But I had the very interesting opportunity of being the only person sitting in SoFi Stadium watching an NFL game. Look, I just found the picture right now. I'm gonna send this to the computer so I could toss it up on the screen. It's going to be very different tonight. There's going to be many more 49ers fans in the stands tonight than there were during this game. There's going to be more Rams fans in the stands as well. But in November of 2020, when the 49ers last beat the Rams, this was my view of the game. I was the only person sitting in the stands at all of SoFi Stadium. I was up in the press box and I got bored. I was like, I've got 70,000 other seats that I could sit in. So I walked down out of the press box. I wanted to hear what was going on the sidelines because the press box is enclosed. And I went up and I sat down and I kicked my legs up and I watched the 49ers beat the Rams 23-20. Wasn't that a wild, wild time in world history? Completely empty stadium while the 49ers and the Rams went at it. Look, we could even zoom in. It's a little grainy. We could see that's Nick Mullins in the shotgun working against the Rams. 49ers would ultimately kick the game-winning field goal. It was a great game, 23-20 against the Rams. This was the last time that the 49ers were 8.5-point underdogs to the Rams, and that happened back in that 2020 season. So those are the roster moves the 49ers can make. As far as strategy goes, this is a really good Rams team. I mean, these guys are number 3 DVOA. They've got a ferocious front. They've added Poona Ford to the front. It's going to be hard to do much of anything against them without George Kittle. And we know that the 49ers have been struggling when it comes to the run game. What San Francisco just badly needs to do is play a clean game. Even if you punt this ball a lot, then you need to make sure you're not giving it away. And then your special teams has to be competent and not give up big punt returns. But, I mean, what they did against the Rams back in 2020, what you see up there on the screen is even though they did turn it over and it was damaging a couple times, they took the ball away more. And when they did run, even though it wasn't all that efficient at 3.4 yards per carry, they generally had a decent success rate running the ball. And as far as there weren't all too many blown up plays for losses in that game. So it was a bar fight. It was ugly, but they generally kept the line moving, especially then on the 2 drives at the end. They got 2 field goals. They're down 2017 and then they won 23-20. I think the formula of the games that the 49ers have won against the Rams have come down to ball control. And I know this is a different Rams team. There's no more Donald, but they've restocked the front. But ball control has been so big. And I think that this is a general piece of advice for the 49ers offense as a whole, especially until they get all their guys back. It's okay to not engage in an all-out track meet. It's okay. Take the profit. Tonight, I think, is going to be about taking the profit. The 49ers are unlikely to win this game. But if they can show that they're consistently taking the profit, that check down is fine, screen pass is fine. Those have been some of the most successful plays for the 49ers so far this season. But just moving the line is fine. They actually have moved the ball fairly well, but they haven't held on to it all that well this year. So take the profit, move on to the next play. Don't gamble the profit away, especially tonight with the limited receiving core. With, this is a skeleton crew that the 49ers are going to be running out there. So take the profit, control the football as much as you can, keep the defense on the sideline as long as possible. And then, what you're trying to do is you're trying to limit possessions. The Rams are more equipped right now. Like, that's just the truth of the matter. The shorter you can make this game, the more a fluke play or a good bounce going your way has a chance to tilt the outcome in your favor, or a couple bounces your way, right? So if this is, if this is a 20 possession game, well, it's going to be tough, right? But if you could limit this to 8 possessions per team, all of a sudden the probability of a greasy break is much higher for the 49ers. The probability of a greasy break actually helping you is much higher for the 49ers. So to shorten the game, you've got to control the ball. You've got to hog it, something the 49ers actually did really well in week 1 against the Seattle Seahawks. You got to keep the defense on the sideline. You've got to limit the amount of snaps that Robert Saleh has to deal with overmatched on his end, because there's no Nick Bosa. We get it. And the Rams are fully stocked. They're the healthiest team in the NFL offensively. Saleh's going to have to find a way to force Matthew Stafford, or encourage him, goad him into some interceptions where he's panicked. So we call them panic picks from Matthew Stafford, which has happened in the past. Like, Matthew Stafford has served footballs up to the 49ers in the past. Whether or not they've caught those footballs has determined whether or not the 49ers have won these games against the Rams, right? So I brought this up yesterday. 2021, Stafford served one up for Jimmy Ward, pick 6. 2022, Talanoa Hufanga, pick 6. 23, Deommodore Lenoir, game-sealing interception. 2024, Stafford served up 3 should-be picks in the first half, and the 49ers dropped all 3 of them, and the Rams won. 2021 NFC Championship game, Matthew Stafford served up what should have been an easy interception for Jaquiski Tartt. He didn't catch it, and the 49ers lost. So the difference between beating the Rams and losing to the Rams has literally been, do you catch Matthew Stafford's interceptions? Because he has put them on the table. Now, without Bosa in this game, there is a chance that the 49ers don't get the pressure needed to goad Matthew Stafford into a panic interception. And if that's the case with their 4, if that's the case, Robert Saleh is going to have to go with the blitzes. He's going to have to find creative ways to try to coax Matthew Stafford into those mistakes. And you only have a certain amount of blitzes that will work a game, because if you throw everything, then the offense is going to burn them. There's one fewer guy in coverage. So for a blitz package to have the highest probability of success, the offense needs to keep the other team's offense off the field as much as possible, because your defense needs to be facing the minimum amount of snaps possible. Otherwise, they are overexposed. So the 49ers' best defense today can theoretically be a ball control offense if that's something they're able to do, play within themselves. They've been seeing a lot of 2-shell coverage. Well, 2-shell coverage is going to open some stuff up underneath. Theoretically, you're going to have a lot of those checkdowns, which Christian McCaffrey's been catching a lot of this year. Maybe the 49ers get a little creative today with the receiver position being what it's at. Maybe Christian McCaffrey has moved into the Deebo Samuel role. Or yes, he still works out of the backfield, but he's a receiver first. Then you can go with somebody like Isaac Guerrero, who hasn't played yet this year, but may be able to offer some change of pace speed for the 49ers as they're working on stuff. I'm spitballing here, but the overarching goal for the 49ers needs to be to keep the line moving. And that's probably going to happen without a whole lot of flash, but with a lot of taking of the profit. Just take the profit that's there. There's a guy open 5 yards downfield. That's who you hit. Don't try to do anything crazy 15 yards on some crosser where there's three defenders. Purdy took too big of a chance last week on that interception against Jacksonville. I know that the 49ers bread and butter when they're operating on full cylinders offensively is the deep pass right over the middle. They try to wear out the field in between the numbers. I'm not so sure that is going to be a good bread and butter today for the 49ers, given their shorthanded state. So you play this game under intense control, right? Consistent profit, intense control. Don't let this turn into a track meet, because that's where the Rams are definitely going to have an advantage over you. So I got to head down to LA here pretty soon. I got to get some food here in San Francisco, and then I got to head down to LA. I mean, it's going to be straight from LAX to the field, like straight from the tarmac to SoFi Stadium. It's going to bang, bang. Going to be quick. 61% Niners fans projected by Vivid Seats. However, the projection for the game is in the Rams' favor. I mean, it was 8.5 last I checked. It might have grown overnight. 8.5 was the 2020 spread. We'll see if this one's bigger now. No, it's still 8.5. And I think it's a fair number because it's not an unbeatable number. Again, when I sat alone in the stands at SoFi Stadium a good 5 years ago, November 2020, the 49ers were 8.5-point underdogs, and they ended up beating the Rams. That was a special win. The 49ers were not on their way to the playoffs. That was a team that would finish the 2020 season 6-10, but they showed a lot of resolve to get it done. I think the prognosis for this season right now, even with the current injuries, much better for the 49ers, and they're in a position where they've just got to weather the storm until they start getting some of these guys back. They're essentially treating this as a bye week for their injured guys like Brock Purdy, like Ricky Pearsall, like Jawan Jennings. Not necessarily a sign that these guys are going to be out for a long time, but it is a sign that the 49ers recognized where they're at health-wise on a short week, artificial turf on that field at SoFi Stadium. There's a picture of the turf, and probably a better allocation of resources to have those guys as ready as possible for the Tampa Bay game 10 days after this one. Because you know who else returns for Tampa Bay is George Kittle. The 49ers, I mean, they were really, really close to getting a win against Jacksonville, despite some of the injuries that they already face right now. They couldn't get it. Obviously, I think people around the 49ers, their fans, would be in a lot better mood right now if this team were 4-0 and they had these injury shortages. Unfortunately, they didn't get that win, but it doesn't mean that they were thrust into desperation mode. It's not like they need to win this game right now or their playoff hopes are eliminated. They're 3-1. Even if they fall to 3-2, as is likely, I think the 49ers have realized that that's not the end of the world, and they want to circle the wagons and do their best to try to go out next week in Tampa Bay and try to make this 4-2. If they can't get it done tonight, they're going to do everything they can from a schematic perspective, from a hunger perspective, to get it down tonight. I wrote this up on the Standard. Tim Kawakami and I had our prediction piece, and I want to get this up for everybody. First off, you should definitely check out the Standard's 5 fast predictions every week before the 49ers play. We've got that up right here. Second off, I want to show you the exact little excerpt that Tim is funny. I thought that it was quality writing from Tim. I want to show you the excerpt that I'm talking about, though. Posted it a little bit earlier today. Here you go. And let's get this bigger up on the screen. Trying to Make sure this doesn't bleed over. There we go. That's a lot better. So the 49ers potential X factor in this game. For Tim, it's opposing coaches worried about a post-game brawl with Robert Saleh, which, yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the other end of that brawl with Robert Saleh. For me, I think the 49ers, if they deliver an what the heck mentality, and they should have that given the decimated state of their roster. The Rams, this is what I wrote. The Rams are really good. They're number 3 at DVOA. The Rams are also very healthy. The 49ers are not. It all lines up to be a San Francisco loss, just being realistic. But those odds can galvanize a liberating force for the 49ers youngsters. They can go for broke. Their looseness can position them to truly benefit from a couple lucky bounces. Asterisk. They can convert that energy into something weird. How about a shocking win? Always remember how Arizona's backups whipped the 49ers A team in 2021 at Levi's Stadium. The asterisk is 49ers fans asking me, what's a lucky bounce? Anyway, that's the path. That's the strategy for the 49ers tonight. And it's the right one considering the fact that it is October 2nd. You've got to play this with the long game. With Brock Purdy, it's the long game. I mean, I put out a big tweet yesterday just listing some of the facts that to help people guide them through the Brock Purdy scenario, because we're seeing a lot of misinformation on that front. And the truth is, and this could be TLDR, too long didn't read, but the truth is that the 49ers are currently in a decent spot when it comes to record, and in a non-ideal spot when it comes to the current game. Thursday night, coming off a Sunday game against Jacksonville, and they're proceeding forward as optimally as they possibly can. There's always fog of war in the future. You don't know exactly how everything else is going to line up, but we can say that 10 days or full 2 weeks, actually, if you go back to the Sunday game, a full 2 weeks of rest for Purdy, Pearsall, Jawan Jennings dealing with the ribs now. Full 2 weeks is a lot better chance at getting this roster to where it needs to be to give a much stronger puncher's chance than 4 days in between Sunday and Thursday. And that's just the reality of the matter. So I'm going to go down to LA now, and I'm going to sit back. I'm going to enjoy this game. I'm going to enjoy the strategy that goes out there and see what the 49ers can muster. I think if they can leave this game having played some decently clean football, maybe having taken the ball away once or twice from the Rams, even if they don't win, I think they're going to feel decently good about themselves entering the mini bye heading into Tampa Bay. I think that is the bottom line gist of the matter for the 49ers. I think that's how they have to approach this. That's how they will approach this tonight. They're going to give it their best shot with the guys who are healthy. Some of the schematic machinations that we see from Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh should be very interesting. And remember, if Matthew Stafford is who he usually is against the 49ers, they will have an interception opportunity or two, unless the pass rush is totally non-existent, in which case they probably won't have an interception opportunity or two. But it's going to come down to whether or not the 49ers can catch that football. And if they can, then maybe they can keep this game remotely interesting as it gets into the second half. We got some people calling an upset in the comment section. We got somebody from Slovakia. Dobrý den, zdravím. Mluvím česky, ne slovensky, ale asi si rozumíme trochu. I just spoke in Czech. That was. I'm sure you guys are like, what the hell is he saying? This guy from Slovakia, though, Tomáš, I'm sure understands what I just said. He could confirm that. Yeah, he understands. See, he says that he understands a lot. Rozumíme hodně, which is good. So cool. Thanks. Děkuju. Machinations. I'm going to start spelling machinations without the H in it, just machinations with a capital MAC, since Mac Jones is the starting quarterback for the 49ers tonight. See what he can do for San Francisco. Machinations Jones. There you go. What should I have for lunch before I fly out to LA? It's a surgical strike for this game. I disagree. I don't think the 49ers need a win tonight. I think this is the 5th game of the season. They're 3-1. Yeah, need a win. That's like when you're 3-5, like the 49ers were in 2021. And it's like, okay, the Rams are coming to town Monday Night Football. If you don't win this game, a lot of tough discussions are going to be had. That's when the 49ers needed a win. If they lose tonight, they're 3-2 and they're entering a mini bye, and they'll theoretically be in much better position for their next game against Tampa Bay. I look at this as more of a house money kind of situation for the 49ers. I mean, if everybody were healthy, you could look at this and say, okay, well, big division matchup like the Seattle game or the Arizona game, weeks 1 and 3. They're not in that spot right now. You've got to calibrate your expectations accordingly. And yeah, I mean, do they have a chance to win? Of course, it's the NFL. Are they likely to win? No. But you, as somebody who's observing and analyzing the game, you've got to look at it, I think, through that lens, that there's a house money vibe going on for the 49ers as they enter LA tonight. I'm waiting for some questions. I don't see any questions. I see tacos in the mission. That's good. I had taqueria Cancun last night, so I'm not really sure if I'm going to be going back to that. But deli board might not be on my way today, but I'll consider it because deli board is amazing. That's from Pharrell. So I'm in taqueria Cancun. That was fun. You want to see Mac versus Jimmy? That will only happen if Stafford got hurt tonight. These are the 2 best QB rooms in the league, 49ers and the Rams. Purdy, Jones, Stafford, Garoppolo. Renardo Green should be good tonight, but I'll confirm once I get down to SoFi. The backup if Mac Jones gets hurt is Adrian Martinez. He's going to be elevated from the practice squad. That's going to be one of the 49ers roster moves here coming up, probably while I'm flying to LA. Renardo Green is dealing with a neck issue, but I think he's close to full health again. CJ West is questionable with the thumb. If it's either CJ or Jordan Jefferson. I guess they put a couple screws in CJ West's thumb, and he's going to have to wear a club if he does play. Has Kyle been holding his hand close to the vest and all of a sudden will unleash a 300-yard rushing game? I don't think Kyle could just press a button for that to happen. I think there's a number of things holding the 49ers back running wise. People are trying to oversimplify this. Oh, the offensive line is terrible. It's like, guys, the 49ers have been shorthanded at receiver, and they've been really shorthanded with their most versatile piece offensively in George Kittle. He is key to run blocking, and he is key to loosening up defenses because he can also threaten in the receiving game. Okay? So that's George. The return comes in Tampa Bay. The 49ers are trying to bridge the gap until that return. Obviously, they're struggling to do so. What they've been short on from a strategic standpoint is explosive plays combined with no turnovers. Because if you're going to go explosive with your pass game without takeaways, you are going to dissuade opposing defenses from lining 5 up across the line of scrimmage. Sometimes even 6 has happened. And you're going to get defenses into different formations that are less geared at stopping the run. If you have George Kittle performing at a high level, which they don't right now because he's out, even against more stacked fronts, you're going to be doing a better job because he's such a good blocker, but he's going to be dissuading. He's going to be doing what you need to get those defenses out of the fronts that are, and those mentalities that are so geared to stopping the run. Because right now, if you're not delivering explosively through the air, the first game with a plus explosive pass rate was the game against Jacksonville. But if you're just turning it over like the 49ers were, well, there's not going to be incentive for the opposing defense to back off of its focus on the run, right? So it's all connected. It's all extremely complicated. Football is not a simple sport. People want to make it simple. It's not. And I'm sorry, like it's just not, So the 49ers have to play a clean game first before they could even think about getting defenses off their spot. You need a clean game. You need an explosive pass game. Pass sets up the run. Bill Walsh believed in that principle. And then everything really interplays off of that. Getting Kittle back will help. Brock Purdy obviously helps, but he's not playing in this game. When you look at the offensive line itself, they have a rookie playing at left guard right now who has really struggled. He had a groin injury right before he took over, and Connor Colby. It's giving Trent Williams a lot more work than usual at left tackle. The individual performances of the offensive linemen, especially from Colton McKivitz to Trent Williams to Jake Brendel, have not been bad. That's what a lot of people get wrong. But when left guard is struggling, when Dominic Pooney hadn't been as good as he was in the past, I think he's still probably trying to come back from that knee issue. He's been okay. It hadn't been terrible, but he hadn't been as good as last year. But whenever you have 1 weak link, and right now they're struggling at left guard with Connor Colby, with Ben Barch on injured reserve, the offensive line is going to, in many ways, especially on the left side, sink down to the level of that weaker link. He's given up 10 pressures in 2 weeks, and I don't think the run blocking has been all too great for the 49ers there. So there's a lot of different reasons, but you want to take pressure off of the personnel you do have, and to do that, you've got to play clean. You got to play clean, and yes, you need some explosive passes. I think it's going to be hard to come by some of that stuff today, but the 49ers will do their best. So no, Kyle can't just hit a button for 300 rushing yards, but the 49ers can incrementally work their way to better position to make this work downhill as far as running the football. All right, everybody, thanks for watching. Puka Nacua against the 49ers tonight. This is a pretty incredible stat. Got this from Jeremy Fowler. Nacua is the first NFL player to record at least 500 receiving yards in his first 4 games in 2 different seasons. He did it in 2023, his rookie year, and this year, 503 yards. It's from ESPN Research. Good stuff. I'm off to LA. We'll talk to you guys after the game.